Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Some of y'all out here are giving discounts on yourselves like you on clearance. You're treating your presence like it's free when, baby, it's a privilege. When you know your value, you stop entertaining people who treat you like you're disposable. Self-worth isn't something you ask permission for. It's something you declare. It's not built on who validates you or how much attention someone gives you. It's built in how you carry yourself when no one's watching, in the standards you set and the boundaries you keep. And the moment you start negotiating that worth, trying to make someone see you, hear you, choose you, you've already handed over the power. The truth is, anyone who ignores you is making a statement, and it's not a silent one. They're saying they believe you'll still be there, that your love, your energy, your time, it's all just a given. But here's where the game changes. When you know who you are, you don't need to remind someone, you remove yourself, because your presence is not cheap and your heart is not a placeholder. People will test how far they can go with you. They'll ignore the message, skip the call, forget the date. And the moment you accept that treatment and stay, you're telling them, this is okay. I'll take whatever scraps you give. That's why you don't argue with disrespect. You don't beg for attention. You don't rewrite yourself to be noticed. You rise. You walk away if you must. You make it clear that your worth isn't a topic open for debate. Love yourself so loudly that it echoes when you leave. And when someone realizes what they lost, it's not out of guilt or manipulation. It's because they finally saw what was in front of them all along. Self-worth doesn't shout to be seen. It simply refuses to shrink. Respect isn't just something you wait around for. It's something you demand by the way you carry yourself. Yes, it's earned through consistency, integrity, and honesty. But once you've shown up with all that, it's also expected. It's the bare minimum. You don't have to do cartwheels, prove your loyalty every day, or keep forgiving someone who can't even acknowledge your presence. The moment someone feels comfortable ignoring you, they're telling you exactly how much or how little they respect you. And what you tolerate is what teaches them how to treat you. When someone cares about you, respect shows up in their effort. They check in, they listen, they value your words and match your energy. But when someone begins to overlook you, when they start responding late, brushing you off, making you feel like you're too much and not enough at the same time, that's not love. That's not even confusion. That's disrespect, and it should never be ignored. Because once someone stops respecting you, everything else starts to crumble. Love, trust, communicate, it all breaks down. You don't have to fight for basic decency. You don't have to explain why it hurts to be dismissed, why silence feels like rejection. If they don't get that, they're not on your level. Respect isn't about worship. It's about regard, showing someone that they matter, that their time, their feelings, and their voice are seen. And if you've done your part and still feel unseen, unheard, and unvalued, then the problem isn't you. It's that you stay too long where you're not being respected. Stand tall in your worth and make it known you are not someone who can be picked up and put down at someone's convenience. You're not a background option. You're the main character in your own story. And the ones who deserve to be in your life will never make you feel small in it. Too many people confuse silence with strength. They think that by ignoring someone, they're gaining control, proving a point, or holding the upper hand. But the truth is, ignoring someone you claim to care about isn't power, it's immaturity in disguise. It's emotional avoidance dressed up as confidence. Real strength isn't in cutting someone off without explanation or letting text pile up unanswered. It's in communication, accountability, and honesty. Power is when you can express yourself with clarity, not when you run from conversations you're too afraid to have. Someone who chooses to ignore you isn't necessarily strong, they're emotionally underdeveloped. They've decided to withhold attention as a form of manipulation, a way to make you feel less than, to force you to chase. But let's be clear, silence can be cruel when it's used as a weapon. It's one thing to take space for healing. It's another to use silence to punish. That's not power. That's fear. Fear of dealing with feelings. Fear of accountability. Ignoring someone doesn't build anything. It breaks trust, builds resentment, and chips away at the foundation of any relationship. Adults have hard conversations. Grown people show up even when it's uncomfortable. If he's ignoring you, not just once or twice, but as a pattern, then he's showing you that emotional maturity is not part of his character right now. And you have to stop interpreting that silence as a signal to do more, give more, be more. It's not about you being not enough. It's about him not being ready to face what real connection requires. Immaturity loves attention without responsibility. It wants closeness without communication. Don't feed into that. You're not a toy to be picked up when convenient and left alone when inconvenient. When someone ignores you, they hoping you'll question yourself. But the only question you need to ask is why you're still offering your energy to someone who treats it like it's disposable. Absence is a powerful thing when it's used the right way. It's not about playing games or being petty. It's about teaching someone the true value of your presence. When you're around all the time, your importance can sometimes get lost in the noise. People get used to having you and they start taking you for granted. They forget to appreciate the little things, the texts you send, the moments you make time for, the way you show up. But absence cuts through all that noise and makes a person stop, reflect, and truly feel what it's like when you're not there. Think about it. When someone is always available, it's easy to overlook them. But when they're gone, the silence makes space for memories to resurface. It's in that quiet that people often realize how much they miss you. They remember your laugh, your wisdom, the way you made things easier just by being present. If your absence doesn't make an impact, then your presence was never valued to begin with. And that's something you need to recognize before you keep giving away your time and love to someone who won't appreciate it. But absence has to be intentional. It's not just disappearing without explanation or shutting down communication without reason. It's about stepping back with purpose, giving both yourself and the other person space to understand what's really going on. It's about not filling every silence or covering up the void your absence creates, because when your absence is felt, it forces them to reckon with the reality of losing you. And sometimes that's the wake-up call needed for change to happen. Don't let your absence be invisible. Don't allow yourself to become background noise that no one notices when it's gone. Your time and presence are precious, and when you remove them, they should leave a mark. That mark is a lesson in respect and value, one that tells anyone ignoring you that your place in their life is not guaranteed, it's earned every day. Sometimes silence is the loudest message you can send. You don't always have to raise your voice or confront someone directly to make a point. In fact, confrontation often triggers defensiveness, arguments, and misunderstandings. But silence forces reflection. It gives space for the other person to sit with their thoughts and feelings without the noise of excuses or explanations. When someone ignores you or disrespects you, responding with silence can be a powerful way to show them that their actions have consequences and that you're not willing to be drawn into chaos or drama just to be seen. Silence isn't about shutting down. It's about holding your peace. It's about refusing to react impulsively or out of hurt. When you stay silent in the face of being ignored, you're setting a boundary without words. You're saying, I'm aware of what you're doing, and I won't play your game. And this kind of calm, controlled silence speaks volumes because it reveals confidence. It shows that you don't need validation from someone who chooses to overlook you, and that your self-worth is intact even without their attention. More than that, silence creates space for accountability. It invites the other person to consider their behavior on their own terms, without pressure. Sometimes people only realize the impact of their actions when they are left alone with their thoughts, when they notice your absence and the quiet you bring. And that realization can be the first step toward change. However, silence must be intentional and not a punishment or avoidance tactic. It's about choosing peace over confrontation, dignity over desperation. It's about valuing yourself enough to walk away from noise that doesn't serve you. So when you find yourself being ignored or dismissed, remember that silence can be your strongest voice, louder and clearer than any argument you might make. It's a lesson in power, patience, and self-respect that can teach him exactly what he's risking by ignoring you. There's a big difference between showing strength and showing desperation. And that difference is what teaches someone the true price of ignoring you. Desperation comes from fear, the fear of losing someone, the fear of being alone, the fear that you're not enough. When you act desperate, you lower your standards and give your power away because you're chasing after attention, approval, or love that isn't freely given. Strength, on the other hand, comes from knowing your worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It's standing tall even when it's hard and showing that you won't tolerate being ignored or disrespected. Strength teaches lessons without shouting. It's calm and confident, not frantic and pleading. When you respond to being ignored with grace instead of desperation, you make it clear that your value doesn't depend on someone else's validation. You don't need to beg for a text back or make excuses for why they don't prioritize you. You live your life fully, with or without them. And that kind of self-respect demands respect in return. People pay attention when they see you're not willing to settle for crumbs or be someone's second choice. Strength inspires respect and forces reflection because it shows that you have boundaries and won't be pushed around. It's a quiet but powerful way of teaching someone the cost of teaching you for granted. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, and start living with intention and dignity, you put yourself in a position where your absence is felt and your presence is truly valued. Never confuse desperation with love. Desperation diminishes you, strength elevates you. And when you teach through strength, You're not just protecting yourself, you're setting the standard for how you expect to be treated in every relationship going forward.